This is Facing the Future Like a Man with Lamar Ridgle. And we're talking today about frustration. So, you men out there, and you women, I want you to learn something today about the men that's in your lives. Frustration is felt by everyone. Frustration is something that can really weigh a man down. And I'm going to tell you what, I've felt it my whole life. But I want you all to understand today, the points that I'm going to give you are going to help you. All right. So if you're ready, let's jump into it. You men out there, life has been hard. Life can be tough. Responsibilities can mount up and really make you feel like, I just don't know if I'm going to make it. And a lot of times, because we haven't been taught how to express ourselves, and so for some men, you might have grown up without a father or a good role model. You got to figure out stuff on your own. You got families. You got responsibilities that you haven't really been shown the way or the tools of how to handle them. It can really weigh you down. I've been there. About myself, I grew up without my father. He is in my life now. But for that critical age when I was young, where I need to learn certain things as a man about family, about money, even about God, about sex, about relationships. Hey, look, I had to learn from my friends and from HBO. And I gotta tell you, both of them led me wrong. Woo. But nonetheless, I'm here. And I have a better grip on God. Ladies, your man is frustrated. Some of you know this. Some of you see your man talking about it. Some of you see him blowing off steam, which is good. It might scare you sometimes. You want a man that's going to blow. I said you want a man that's going to tell you how he feels constructively. Man, lower the tone, son. Don't scare your wife away. You want a man that's going to tell you how he feels. Not just because you can know where he's coming from, that's good, but it's good for him. It's good to get it off his chest. It's good to relieve it so that he can live longer. And so some of you don't get that same opportunity. Your man doesn't tell you everything, even the ones that are not passive and that just don't talk. That's the kind of man I've been. I just wouldn't put stuff out there. Didn't feel like people want to hear it, or didn't want to get rejected and share my feelings. Don't be such a web. But some men are just taught. From wherever they learn it don't matter. I just don't share my feelings. I don't want to seem like less of a man. I don't want to seem weak. I don't want to seem like I don't know what I'm doing. And so it just holds it on the inside. And that's not good. That's not good. That's not good. It begins to eat away on the inside. It's a sickness. It's like trying to hold on to fire. It's like trying to hold on to a poison on the inside and expecting it not to affect something in there. That don't work. So I'm going to speak to you ladies first. If you have a man like that I spoke at first, who shares his feelings, then give him a safe place to be able to do that. You may have to help him through it. You might just have to be a listening ear. But if you're his wife, if you're his girlfriend, one of the biggest things you can do that you might not understand, but the touch and the presence of a woman who understands, who can look him in the eye as she understands and give him that kind of hug that only a wife could give, a caress to help bring him down, is priceless. Now, if he does explode, it's because he hasn't known how to express it constructively and not scare people. At the end of the day, though, that frustration is really just fear anyways. Behind all anger is fear. So if he's blowing up, it's because he's scared. All he needs you to just come right in there and let him be able to get it off. His psyche on the inside that's tearing him apart. Then he's going to be able to go about his day. Then when you step in, though, he's going to feel like he's safe, that he can share these things with you and not scare you, and that he might even get some answers, or at the very least, he can feel safe on the inside, like I can just let go. But the challenge for you women out there, for the men who don't talk, Guys, I'm gonna flip it back over to you. What you're doing to your woman, to your wife, and to the people around you is unfair. It's hard for people not to know what you're thinking and what you're feeling. It's not good for you physically or psychologically. And when it comes to a man and a woman, a relationship, it's frustrating for a woman. Why? Because she has to constantly try to figure out what's going on inside of you. And then once the problems that you're dealing with come to a head and she has to end up dealing with them, then she's dealing with your problems and her own problems when you could have talked it out from the get-go, and she doesn't have to figure it out. She can just help you figure it out. And then that brings her on the inside. She feels left out without knowing all this stuff until you just all of a sudden it's just too much. That was my thing. It was always I didn't want to worry my wife. I didn't want to scare my wife. I didn't want her to tell me I was being too weak or to reject me. And then the thing would still come out that I was frustrated about and not dealing with, and it would still have to deal with it, and she still had to. And then she's like, "Why wouldn't you tell me?" That's the biggest. It's a painful thing for a woman to feel like my husband can't talk to me and share with me. But it keeps you from becoming a ticking time bomb, and things actually get dealt with. Come on. God didn't put people in our lives for us to suffer and be frustrated and stressed out on our own. The Bible says it's not good for man to be alone. And he says for the woman, for the wife and the husband, speaking specifically there, don't say anything. I'm sorry, don't say anything about girlfriends and don't say anything about friends with benefits. It just don't speak on that. The wife is a helpmeet to the husband. And that's the help. You can still be strong. You can still share how you feel. You can get it off your chest and have her help you at least walk through it and still be an alpha man. You can still be strong. As a matter of fact, she'll see you as strong because that you can come to her and let that stuff off. I have dealt with a lot of frustration in my life. I've had a child with special needs. I've learned a lot of things about marriage and women and relationships by myself through this marriage that I've been in, that my wife has, through the grace of God, been patient enough with me to get to this point, and we're still working on it. I've had to deal with the frustration of starting ministry, getting into ministry, of all the other stuff, car problems, car notes, the house, renting houses, buying houses, paying the car, paying the bills, paying, behind all the problems in life, medical bills, medical problems, health problems. I mean, after a while, especially when things seem like they're just coming one after another, it starts wearing away on the inside. At the end of the day, nobody said life was going to be a rose garden. We know this. And times can be trying more so than usual because of COVID-19 and the political climate and the racial climate. But frustration, at the end of the day, is all about perspective. A famous pastor said, they welcome challenges. They welcome, I believe it was Serenity Prayer. I'd have to ask my wife to double check on that, but we welcome challenges because it's just a sign that God wants to promote me. When the challenges come, it's either one or two things. Either it's going to get done or it's not. And I know there's people out there right now that are ready to plead the blood over. They'll stay up and pray all night, get prayer warriors together. There's people who believe in the secret or the belief that if I just have this thought, then I'll attract things to me, which it's okay. Some of these things still work. Pleading the blood is going to work unless it's not willed to work. There's some things God didn't ordain to happen. There's some things that just are not meant to happen. And so we find ourselves frustrated on things that we need to learn how to let go. Frustrated about people that we need to learn how to cut off. So my first point, it comes out of it's a prayer that you hear in the walls, in the halls of Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous. And it says, it's the serenity. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So, that's the number one thing. You're going to have to learn how to prioritize and do it quickly. Some of the times, I was worried about making a mistake and then I'd be stuck and not do anything, which is the biggest mistake of all. And so what I've learned is you're going to have to learn how to, as a man, make a decision and be fine with that decision. Because once you decide, then you can just find out what the priority is and move on. The priority says, I can do something about this, and I'm going to need the serenity to understand that I can't do that. The raise I wanted, it's just not happening right now. The job I wanted, the job I've been trying to hold out for, and then my health right now is just, you're going to keep believing on it. It's going to happen someday. But I can't do something about that right now. I can't do anything about the way that the state of the nation is right now. But what I can change is this one bill over here that I haven't decided to pay. What I can change is how I act towards my wife. What I can change is if the backyard is not in order. What I can change is if some things in the house that need to be straightened up or cleaned, I can take care of that right now. And then, okay, what do I take care of first? You ask yourself this big question. For today and today only, what is the one thing, if I did it, I would be satisfied with myself? And you start there. And you start dealing with that thing and you start working on it and you don't let anything else get in the way. Even if some things you're going to have to do, you might have to take a phone call from your boss, or you might have to go and get something for the kids. But then you get back on that thing and you work on it and lose sleep over it and work on that thing, or go to sleep and wake up and you put some other things on hold, cut some other people off until it's done. And then you go on to the next thing, and then the next thing. Things have piled up. I know problems have come because you couldn't work because of COVID or whatever. Things have slowed down. But you keep plugging along and it will change. You might have to lose something. It's okay. We're frustrated because we're scared to let things go. People, we're scared to let go. Just gotta let them go. We gotta let some things go. We are very fortunate in America. I'll say it again. We are very fortunate in America. I was in Africa. My wife and I, we visited Kenya. And I paid very close attention to the attitude these people had as they walked around their own country, not knowing what it's like to be in a place such as America. And they were very satisfied. They wanted better for their lives, and they knew how to reach out for help. They were reaching out to us for help. They wanted to get better, but they were content, and they were very respectful when we were around. Not just us, but all the people around them, because they were content with the people they were around. I watched children do stuff like I used to do when I was real young, before there were cell phones and all this other stuff. They were sliding down a hill on a 2-liter bottle that's been flattened. Kids just enjoying life. This is in the slums where the roads aren't even paved. I mean, you got trash all along the side of the road. Kids don't have shoes, and they're sitting here running around and playing and having a life that you would once you see the TV shows and the commercials, like, oh, they're just hating their lives over there. I couldn't tell. Their perspective is they were grateful for the life they had. The people who serve God, they serve God in a house with a tin roof with a dirt floor, and you would think they were highly blessed in every area of their life, and they were. But I got a feeling they're able to see how it was over here, how things are so much easier to come in contact with and to acquire in America. They would look at their lives and say, "Oh my God, I can't even imagine living this well off." And so what happens is our perspective in America has become one of toil, one of, my identity is tied up in accomplishments and possessions. And we find ourselves being bogged down mentally, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically about things at the end of the day that just don't really matter. So we have to learn how to let some of these things go. I saw a Corvette today. I hadn't looked at one this intently in a long time. And I started to look at that thing and I started wondering why I didn't have one. This is one of the newer ones, a C8, C9. It was bad. I started looking at myself in the mirror and said, are you serious? You don't know what that man had to do to get that Corvette. You don't know what he has to pay to keep that Corvette. I remember the housing crisis. One of the saddest things to see. People were losing their houses. And people were committing suicide or killing their whole families and then killing themselves. Burning their houses down. All kinds of crazy things. But you go to places like India or Mexico, you go to some third world country or places where people just, I've been to Iraq. I've seen how they live too. It's not the same as America. People are losing their houses, but there's people out there that don't have a house and are perfectly fine. And so frustration is a mind state. Fellas, your frustration, the thing that's eating you up on the inside, it's all about how you perceive it. And once you begin to wrap your mind about how you feel versus how you are going to be. Just the other day, I was feeling in my body because of the sickness that wouldn't leave me. At one point, I said I felt like I was being healed. The situation was turning around, but a week later, I was starting to still feel it. And I told my wife before, I said, I'm healed. I know God has healed me. I'm feeling 100% better, or at least 80% better. And then a week later, it was still there. I was still feeling like this thing ain't gone yet. And then she asked me how I was feeling one day and why I hadn't had as much energy. I was like, I was just still feeling it. And I didn't really want to complain about it. And she asked me a very good question. She said, well, one minute you're healed, then the next minute you're not. Which one is it? Let me tell you something. After hearing that, the next day I woke up and I was fine. What happened? I stopped telling myself. As a matter of fact, when that feeling comes back now, I tell myself it is a lie. I want to tell you fellas that when things start coming and telling you that you need to be frustrated and worrying about something, that's a lie. People, even when the bill collectors come and start telling you to start worrying about a bill that you just ain't going to be able to handle right now. The serenity to say, I can't pay that right now. You got to look inside yourself and say, I can't be frustrated about this. That's what they're telling me, that this is a problem. It ain't my problem right now because I can't pay. Now, you will get to a point. The second part of that prayer, the courage to change the things I can. I want to speak to the courage inside of men and you women. I want you to speak the courage inside of your man to be able to take situations and say, hey, you can handle it. You can do it. You were built for it. Every man and woman that's ever been put on this earth has had the same thing you've had. 2 ears, 2 eyes, 1 mouth, 2 legs, 2 arms, 2 hands. And they've been able to deal with this life. People have dug themselves out of bad debts. People have overcome cancer. People have lost and gotten their houses, their marriages, their families back. And you will do it too. You will pay that bill. You will get your manhood back. You will get your credibility back. You will get your family back. You don't have to lose your family. You don't have to lose anything. I spoke about people who pray in the blood and do all these things and keep doing it. Keep having the faith that the life that you live will get better. You will recover from COVID. Yes, the life we live, it'll never be the same. But that's okay. You don't have to get frustrated about it. Rejoice at all times. I say again, rejoice. You don't live in a tin hut. And if you do, you make the best out of that tin hut. Because I'll tell you one thing. There is a God out there who's going to reward you as long as you follow him. I'm speaking back to the Bible now. The Bible has a lot to say about how we view life. We can't worry about tomorrow because the worries of today are sufficient. But we can't worry about all the simple things that God says he's going to provide. He says, don't worry about the food you're going to eat. Don't worry about the clothes on your back. Don't worry about the roof over your head. He says the birds eat, they fine. They don't even have to think about it. God says he takes care of that for them. The flowers of the field, they don't have to worry about what they wear. The flyers, it said the Bible says the Bibles are darn better than King Solomon. The flowers don't have to worry about what they look like. They still gonna be pretty. God does that. He says we don't have to worry about any of these other things because he takes care of them. If he can take care of a bird, if he can take care of a rose, why would he not take care of the things that he loves? He said he loves us with a kind of love that we can never comprehend. It surpasses all understanding. So there's no need to worry. There's no need to sit here frustrated about stuff we can't change because we can't change it. There's no need being frustrated about stuff we can change because we're going to change it. There's no need worrying about being frustrated or knowing the difference between one or the other because all we have to do is just get up and make something happen. Once we start to move, once we get around people who can help us to be safe and understand the difference between what we can change and can't change, then we won't have to be frustrated about it. The Bible does say it's not good for man to be alone. And in a multitude of counsel, there is safety. So men, open up to your wives, to your loved ones. If you don't feel like you can do that, or it's not enough, she can't handle it, you start telling her stuff and it throws her into depression or a fit, she's too busy, then find somebody. You got to get out there. Stop saying I can't make friends. I don't have time. Because the next time you have a heart attack because you're stressed out, because you've bitten everything off and swallowed it and haven't shared it with anybody, you would wish you had time then. There's plenty of groups out there. All kinds of sororities. You don't have to be an alcoholic. You can go to an AA meeting and just sit there and talk. Or listen. Find somebody. Connect with somebody. You'll be amazed to find out you're more alike than you are different. You'll find people have the same frustrations as you. All the frustration is, all the challenge is growth. You don't grow without pain. We face pains in life and we get over them. That's being a man. I want to thank you all for listening. I hope I said something to encourage you and help you out. If you have something you want to talk to me about frustration, I'm here. I'll talk till the cows come home, or message, or whatever it takes to get through to you to understand that you will make it. Peace.